All right, everybody, welcome out to the Log Room Guys Craft Beer Show. It is Tuesday, February the 13th, 2024. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. He's creaking his chair, making a lot of noise.
I tried to oil this thing, and I don't even know.
Yeah, but it's the chair that you have to oil, Dave.
Oh. I got to lubricate the chair.
It's the chair you need to lubricate.
Oh, that actually might be my back, John.
Actually, it might be.
That sound. Oh.
Yeah. Now, did you hurt your back hiking, or did you hurt your back at the beer fest on Saturday night?
Neither. I did it walking off a curb.
Ooh, the hard way to hurt your back.
Yeah, or the easy way when you're old and fat.
That's
yeah. Oh my. No. I didn't hurt myself at the beer festival. It was pretty well restrained.
You didn't hurt yourself physically at the beer festival.
No, my liver would beg to differ.
Well, that's physical too, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. So Gungy Fat Shoy.
Okay.
Oh wait, what are you wearing?
It's Mardi Gras. Happy Fat Tuesday.
I thought we were celebrating Lunar New Year, John.
Happy Fat Tuesday. Here's my beads.
See this. It's Year of the Dragon. Saturday was the beginning of the Lunar New Year for much of the Asian world. Mm-hmm. And I thought that's what we're celebrating.
Well, happy Lunar New Year as well.
Okay.
We'll
celebrate both. We'll celebrate.
Would you like some beads? I have extras.
Oh, do I have to?
Okay, yeah, just here. Okay, fine, never mind. Yeah, you know what? Don't do that. I'll just give you the beats. It's fine.
I already did it.
All right. Well, no, don't really do it. I'm saying.
Oh, I'm not going to do that.
No, don't do that.
No one wants to see.
So a quick story about that. A friend of mine years ago, going back 20 years. We're in this bar in Hillsdale, New Jersey, and it's not there anymore. It's there, but the place was. It was different then. It was called Bourbon Street, right? So they were obviously big in the Mardi Gras thing and everything else. So we're there on Fat Tuesday one year, and there was like 6 of us, and there's one of us that were there, big guy, real big guy, right? We're all standing above, like on this, like the dance floor is down, and it's this whole deck up top, right? And everybody, men and women, we're all up there, and then everybody has a bunch of beads, and down on the floor. There's guys and girls going like this. Nothing, no nudity or anything. Like the girls with sports bras or whatever they were wearing, and throwing beads down. Just a fun time, right? So one big guy kind of wanders away. We don't see him. Where'd he go? All of a sudden, he wanders out to the middle of the dance floor and picks his shirt up. He cleared the dance floor. Like people left the bar. People left the club. They're just like, goodbye. See ya.
Check, please.
It's like, yeah, gotta go. I got a thing. Anyway. So it's also National Tortellini Day.
It is.
Happy to those who
see in our apartment building in the lobby.
Mm-hmm.
People
you have a tortellini store?
No. There's people that will leave things on the table down there. Like we left a lamp that we didn't need down there, like this chopper. The other day, there's a package of tortellinis.
Lovely.
I know Tortellini Day is coming up, but I don't need.
It's not his calendar, folks. He knows Tortellini Day is coming up. See, that's the thing. I find these days out, by the way, obviously I knew Fat Tuesday was today, but I find these dates out about an hour before the show.
Yeah,
he's got them on his calendar. He's prepping for them.
I was supposed to keep sending these to John, so that I can show you. Send them to John so he can put them on our website. Here you go.
Right. This is you stopped doing. I did a couple of times, and he stopped sending them about a year ago. So
yeah, I just completely freaking forgot. We got to start doing that again and put that up.
Absolutely.
Because we miss some good stuff when we don't put that up.
And yeah, absolutely.
Like last Thursday was International Scotch Day, John.
I think we're going to have to do something about that. If we had known that. Tuesday. I know if last Thursday.
Yeah.
If we had known that, we could have done a Scotch show with Tom on Thursday night.
The thing is, I did wish Tom a happy National Scotch Day, and he said to me, "You're going to have to pour a double because I have no Scotch in the house."
There you go.
I was shocked.
I was shocked.
He had rye, he had bourbon, he had Irish whiskey, he had Canadian whiskey, he had no Scotch.
No Scotch. All right. Well, I am thirsty. What about you?
Very, very thirsty. And I know we have some beers from our guest, and I want to open it when he comes on the show.
Exactly. So let's get him on right now.
Get him on the show so we can drink.
Folks, please welcome to the show the owner of Bakes Brewing in Wall, New Jersey, Jeff Baker. Jeff, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
All right. And just to clarify, so everybody's aware, I'm aware of this because I live around the corner, but it's obviously it says on Facebook and everything, it says Belmar, New Jersey. It's actually Wall because it's West Belmar, but that's Wall. So
so the brewery is actually located in the West Belmar section of Wall,
right.
But for some reason, Google Maps cannot make that happen.
Well, it's even if you go over to ShopRite, if you go over to Google or even Apple Maps, if you put in any of the map programs, if you put in like even ShopRite over on 35 and 18th, you put in ShopRite and on 35 and it comes up ShopRite. The address is Route 35 North, Belmar, New Jersey.
So I have to put, I'm super proud to be in my own hometown, but I have to put Belmar on the website. Kind of hurts a little bit.
Exactly. But well, all of the beer names, and we'll get into them, do reflect your hometown. So that's a good thing. So we'll get to all of them in a minute. But speaking of one of them, this particular first one that Dave and I are having does not reflect your hometown. It reflects something else. And you could talk about that. Dave, you already poured yours. While I pour mine, why don't you put it up on the screen?
We are drinking Little Bakes. This is the 6% hazy IPA. And since it is Lunar New Year, I'm drinking it out of a brand new glass of mine. It's got the dragon on it for Year of the Dragon because 2024 is the Year of the Dragon. My shirt's also Year of the Dragon, but this is like 2 Year of the Dragons ago. So this is from 2000. But beautiful beer in a really pretty glass. I love Duvel's glasses. And man, I love the citrus that comes out in this nose.
There you go. I went Tiku tonight, so Treehouse Tiku. So cheers. But
cheers.
So,
you
Jeff,
drinking something, Jeff?
Yeah, I don't have Little Bakes with me, but I have another beer which I can touch on in a little bit. Cheers.
Awesome. Cheers.
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 This is such a yummy beer.
This is very tasty. Why don't you talk about this beer? Why don't you? We'll get into the show, but since we're drinking it, we'll start with this one and talk about.
Yeah. So Little Bakes is actually named after my son, Tyler. So he's our only son. My wife Jess and I. So a lot of our lives revolve around him. So my nickname is Bakes. My dad's nickname was Bakes. His nickname is Bakes as well, but we refer to him as Little Bakes.
Little Bakes, right?
Does that make you Middle Bakes?
Middle Bakes.
It might.
Big Bakes, Middle Bakes, Little Bakes.
Yeah, so I wanted to make it, on the lower end of the IPA ABV spectrum to tie into the little component. So it comes in as a 6%er, a little more drinkable. It's got Citra on the hot side, and then Nelson on the cold side.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's very tasty.
What's interesting is when John and I were at the brewery, we were drinking it. I'm getting it now, actually, but one of the taste descriptors was pineapple. Neither of us were tasting pineapple. And John and I, we've talked about this on the show before, we've got very, very similar palates. Different people will pick up different things. I get home, I give one to Carrie. The first thing that she says goes, "Ooh, pineapple." It's like, okay, you've got the same palate as whoever writes the descriptors.
So I write those flavor profile descriptors literally the night before I serve that beer for the first time to the public. So what happens? We have a process here. My brother and I sit down. We do side by sides with comparable commercial examples.
Okay.
Just to calibrate and make sure that the beer kind of either stands up to, falls short of, or is better than these examples that we like in the market. And then, we evaluate it from an aroma, appearance, and flavor perspective, and we just spitball what we're getting. And we write down those descriptors and whatever sticks throughout the next 20 minutes as we evaluate that beer to the top of the glass.
All right.
So basically,
it's in the menu.
It's basically two beer nerds breaking down a beer.
Pretty much.
You get any two or more beer nerds anywhere, and they're doing pretty much the same thing. They're just not writing it down for a menu.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what's funny about that Dave mentioned. Brought it up. I was drinking it. I didn't get it, but as soon as I wasn't looking. Yeah, I wasn't even looking at the descriptors. I tend to not do that. I want I want to drink it, everywhere I go, anything I drink, I want to drink it before I look at what somebody else was tasting, right? And I wasn't getting it. And then he said that, and I took another sip, and I'm like, yeah, I could see that. So it's everybody's palate's different, that. So it doesn't, it's all, it's all good. One way or the other, it's all good. So
tying into what you just said, I kind of go back and forth on whether or not I even want to put the flavor descriptors, because each person's different. I want them to have their own experience.
Sure.
But then, half the people that walk in the tasting room want to know, like, what type of flavor profile is this beer going to give me? So
what you need a scratch off menu.
Right, exactly.
If you want to know the flavor descriptor, scratch here.
Exactly.
Good idea.
That's not bad. All right. All right. Let's roll it back for a second. Let's start. Yeah, I can turn the crawl off here. Let's. What are you drinking, by the way?
So I'm drinking a Keller beer.
Okay.
Oh.
Nice. Made it.
Yeah, freshly tapped last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I mostly brewed it because we had a Helles and a Czech dark lager on tap for the first few weekends, and people just blew through those.
Oh yeah,
and I wasn't really expecting
for good reason.
Yeah, so I was super happy with the beer, and obviously the public was as well. I was expecting them to last for a couple more weekends, and here we were with a gap in our menu. I always want to have a lager or two on the menu, not only because I like them and appreciate them, but
hell yeah.
You walk in the door, expect a lager, right? So we operated for one weekend with the tap list being absent a lager. So I was like, we got to put on this Keller beer, which when I brewed it at home in the garage, it's like a 14-day turnaround. This one actually ripped through in like 11 days and kind of saved our butts and got a lager back on there.
Nice.
That's awesome. To my late grandfather, which kind of ties into the original story behind the brewery.
All right. So before we get to that, I want to.
Yeah, we got to get to that eventually.
I want to. We'll back all the way up to that. Let's start off. Let's go back to what we normally do when we have a guest on for the first time. Let's start off with this question. What was to your best of your recollection, what was the first craft beer you ever had?
Dogfish 60 Minute.
Wow.
Oh, that was quick.
Right up.
He knew the answer to that one.
He knew what that was.
We usually get at least a 15 to 30 second pause on that question. But you knew. So you obviously remember where you had it first?
Yeah, it was at their production brewery.
Oh, wow.
In Delaware.
Well, there goes your second question, John.
There you go.
What was the first brewery you were ever at?
Can't you remember the first craft brewery you were at? But that's awesome that the first craft beer you ever had was at the first craft brewery you went to. That
was 60 Minute.
And it was 60 Minute, right? Yeah.
That's great. That's a hell of a beer too. That I think.
Yeah.
I think it was an overlooked beer because I don't think much of when it came out. I don't think to the U.S. Let me rephrase this. Didn't remember what a British IPA was.
Right.
British style IPA. We'd gone so West Coast that they all loved 90 Minute, but forgot where our roots came from with like Harpoon IPA and those that had that English character of IPA to them. Sure. And that was 60 minutes. So
exactly. Question for you on that note: what were you drinking beer wise prior to having that beer? Like what? I mean, was it light lagers and everything else that anybody was drinking?
Right. Bud Light, Miller Light.
Right.
That's a jump from a light lager to 60 Minute. Wow.
So the first sip of Dogfish Head 60 Minute that goes onto your palate. What's the first? If you can remember, what's the first thing that came across your mind, like that you're like the flavor profile you're drinking?
My mind was blown with how much flavor was saturating my mouth at that moment, and that's kind of what changed my. I don't want to say maybe my life as it pertains to beer.
Sure, why not? I mean, to some degree, it changed your life, right? I mean,
Hey, it's the first step that you took to get to being a guest on the Lager Room, guys.
That's right.
Yeah. Here we are. And that was the man's goal, Dave.
There you go. The epitome of his career, right here.
All right, well, we found the open for the audio part of the show. Put that up.
Anyway. That's the pain meds talking.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, all right, cool. All right, so let's go back to the beginning. Now, when did you start home brewing? Like how far back? What's your
September
first batch?
2013.
September 2013. So it's been over 10 years now at this point.
Yeah, 10 plus years.
And obviously you said you had a story. Is that all part and parcel of the story you were about to embark on with your grandfather?
Yeah, he's a component of it. And
Okay.
with your question about the first craft beer and the first brewery, that heavily ties into the genesis of the story.
So go for the story. Go for it.
Yeah, so back in 2013, I went down to Dogfish Head in Delaware with a bunch of my buddies, my college buddies, just like a guy's trip. And at that point in time, I didn't really know what craft beer was. A couple of the guys were like, "Yeah, you got to try this craft beer. Let's go down. Let's have a really good weekend." I think it was August, or maybe July or August, and we park. It was at the production brewery. We park it in the parking lot. We're walking up. I'm sure you guys have been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not been there yet, but I know I've seen pictures. I know what it looks like.
Yeah, so the first thing that you see when you're walking up to the brewery is this tree house, right? And underneath that tree house, it was beautiful weather. Underneath that tree house, there was a group of maybe 25, 30 people, head to toe in Halloween costumes.
In summer.
Summer.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, and we're like, whoa, what are we walking ourselves into here, right? We're playing bocce ball and stuff, and
Gotta love that.
In, we were gonna, walk straight to the tasting room entry door, and we get intercepted by this guy in a costume. He's like, "Hey, welcome to the brewery. Where are you guys from?" Like, "Oh, Jersey." He's like, "Oh, I remember. I got some good stories about my first distribution venture to New Jersey." So we're like connecting the dots. This guy must be involved in the brewery somehow. Turns out it was Sam.
Knew that's where it was going.
Right.
Yeah, you probably heard the story. I think he paddled a boat of some sort with a keg to southern Jersey for his first out-of-state distribution.
He did, yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, this guy was super friendly. He didn't come off as like the owner type. And he just
he's really not. He's not. He does not come off.
Yeah, he just took an interest in our group, and within an hour, he's like, "Yeah, just go up into the treehouse and open my little fridge, and I have a secret stash there of some really cool beers." So I don't know. We just had a really, really cool experience, and my first beer that day was 60 Minute, and I remember turning to my buddies like, "Wow, this is super flavorful," because like I told you guys. Up until that point, we were drinking cheap lagers, on the Jersey Shore.
Sure.
And it kind of changed my life as it pertains to beer. And the rest of the trip was awesome. And ever since then, in the short term, subsequent to that trip, I was seeking out all the different craft breweries. I was at the time working at KPMG, public accounting firm. So we got to travel quite a bit. So I was seeking out different local breweries wherever we were going for business trips. And
always a good thing to do.
Oh yeah.
Always a perk. And I remember after that trip coming home and saying, I might want to open my own brewery sometime. Like the culture, the beer and everything was kind of eye-opening. So then kind of fast forward a month or so later, my grandpa, his name is Bob. He was like I'm a big baseball guy. I played baseball, high school through college. And Bob was kind of like my best friend. He's my grandfather on my mother's side. He went to every single one of my baseball games. He was the guy, he was the most supportive outside of maybe my own parents. He was the most supportive person at my games. He would run out beyond the home run fence, retrieve all my home run balls. He'd mark up all my home run balls. Anyway, so I bring back this Dogfish beer to him. He's a lifelong Bud heavy drinker. And I got him onto some hoppy stuff. And he's like, this stuff's really good, you know? And so I was kind of converting him into a craft beer drinker.
Yeah, sure.
And then, shortly thereafter, he suddenly passed. And not that was the reason to open a brewery, but it was like, once I lost my drinking buddy, Bob, and, I already had the wheels turning about this whole idea of opening a brewery, I was like, you know what, here we go. And we did a memorial walk in his honor. And at the after party, I proclaimed to all my family and friends, I was like, I'm going to open a brewery. And that was on a Sunday. The next day, which was Monday, I drove out to New Brunswick to the homebrew shop out there and bought a 5-gallon stovetop kit with the pre-made dry malt extract recipe.
Sure.
And I never looked back. I think I did 3 stovetop batches, and then I bought the same Brew Magic kit that Sam started on, and just brewed my butt off for the next 10 years, knowing that I wanted to perfect everything that I possibly could recipe-wise, and one day open a brewery.
That's awesome.
What was the first beer?
It's an amber ale.
And how'd it come out?
Not great.
Not great.
That's always the answer.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but at the time,
normally we get it.
I think one answer was it was a drain pour.
And in the tasting room, there's actually the last bottle that remains from that batch is presented.
That's awesome.
On the front wall in the tasting room.
I didn't even see that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
I thought it was really cool to get labels made up. It says amber ale. It's a big brown bottle.
I have bottles left of my second and third beers. I've only ever brewed 3 batches. The first one I don't have.
No. That's awesome that it's there. The other day, I don't know, Dave, I think you were parcel to what we were talking about at the beer fest. Gene, our friend Gene, friend of the show. He comes on. He doesn't come on the show, but he comments in all the time. He posted on Facebook the other day that he there was a picture of, like, it was a memory on Facebook that he shared, and it said it was his first and last homebrew that he ever did. And I commented, so that was a brown ale, right? And he said, no, you're right. This was the second one. The brown ale was the first. I remembered his first beer he ever did. He didn't.
He had quite a few at the beer festival. So
he had a few. Yeah, he had a few. Anyway, all right. So that was all 2013 that you made that proclamation. You were going to open a brewery. You started your home brew, and you did with the amber ale and so forth and so on. How long after that did you actually? Okay, I'm doing this. Like, when did you start the whole process for what has now become Bakes Brewing in Wall?
Probably soon thereafter, I started my business plan, which has morphed and been refined and scrapped.
Who hasn't, right?
Yeah. So I was pretty serious from the jump, and then it came down to kind of figuring out where and how and all those good things. At one point we were looking at a town further north, made some good progress up there, and it kind of fell through for several reasons. And then, and that was probably back in 2014, 2015. So that's how quickly I kind of.
So you were a year or less in. You were seeking out space already. Yeah.
Yep. And then it kind of morphed into, well, I think it makes a lot of sense to try to do something in my hometown, where I still currently live and have always lived. So then that would have been probably 2016, 17. We found a spot in Wall and got approved by the planning board. We were in the process of developing the site. And, from approval to development to execution, we're talking always a couple of years, right? So we got down that road a few years for that site. And then I actually came across the current site that you guys have visited. While we were in the process, we were actually very close to starting construction ground up at the previous site, and pivoted.
Also in Wall.
Yes.
Okay.
pivoted, pulled the plug because this was a much better site suited for the use.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building.
What what was there, which I live down here, so I know what was there before. Like, wow, when I walked in there your first day, and I was like, holy shit, what the hell? You know, you did a ton of work in there, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. It came out really well.
Which anybody looking at this right now can see, because that's part of it right behind you. So
Yeah. We got some shiny tanks.
yeah, no. So okay, so when was that you found that building? Like when did that process start?
That would have been 2019, 2020.
Okay. So like just prior to pandemic time?
Yeah, we started construction as soon as it hit. It was terrible.
Fun.
Yeah.
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 Perfect timing.
Yeah. Construction was, headache after headache after headache. Mainly because of the timing and the supply chain disruption and
Right.
the workforce issues and all that stuff. So
Gotcha.
It's been a bear, but here we are,
Here you are. Yeah. I mean, technically, like when you, if you go from when you first started, you opened, it was it was over a 9-year process.
Yes.
From beginning within the other town, obviously, and then the first building in Wall, and then this building, and it took you 3+ years, almost 4 years to actually get going. And believe me, I'm one of the guys that followed the page from the moment you put it up. I'm like, any update? Yeah.
Which was interesting because
by the way, I you know this, but anybody else that's listening or whatever, I can walk there in 5 minutes. But so
what was interesting is when
I actually live closer to his brewery than he does. So
That's true.
Anyway, go ahead, Dave. What you're saying?
Oh, my turn. Okay. No, which was interesting because when John brought up Bakes Brewing, I hadn't heard of it yet, and I asked him like, well, so what's the pedigree? Because usually in New Jersey, every brewery, whoever's opening it, worked at another brewery, or their head brewer came from another brewery. And John told me like, no, he's a home brewer that opened a brewery. And when you look at the breweries in Jersey, even if they followed that route, they started off by talking to another brewery, getting all that advice. And when they open, like half the breweries in Jersey are there when they open. You were pretty much a standout in this on that path.
Yeah. So I took the approach that I need to learn this from the ground up, trial and error. I quickly tried to outfit my home brewing setup and process to the commercial, not scale, but commercial grade and process, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
sure. Yeah, you were brewing. You had, pseudo commercial grade equipment at your house that you were brewing on, and
right, and glycol controlled fermentations, closed transfers, all that stuff. I wanted to hit that at the beginning, or as soon as humanly possible.
Sure.
So that when I did get to the point of opening up the production side commercially, it would just be a matter of scaling it up. I brewed over 350 batches out of the garage. So a lot of time.
That's a lot of beer.
And that is a lot of beer.
And that's not even including what you brewed stovetop wise before you.
No, that was in the garage. So I had the Sabco Brew Magic, like I said, in the garage, and then we drilled a hole into the garage wall where I fed a transfer tube down and dropped it into the basement utility closet.
Wow,
that's where my
that was your cellar.
My 14-gallon unit tanks and glycol chillers sat down.
Oh, you
there.
kept really? Oh, you had all that down there. All right, wow.
Not to start with. To start with, I had carboys down there.
Okay.
My temperature control was the basement window. I remember setting alarms, and I got in. I dove into the competition world for 2 years. heavy. And I remember setting my alarm throughout the night, like on the hour, every hour, to slide the carboy closer to the window or farther away from the window based on what the thermometer was telling me.
That is something else.
So
Wow.
that was a grind. Did that for a couple of years, and then finally refined my process and set up such that it was like commercial grade, like I said. And in order to get the word out, I started by getting a crowler seaming machine.
Okay.
And a pallet of crowlers, which I didn't realize how big it was going to be. I had to
Crowlers, yeah.
I had to reroute the truck to my sister's house. She lives on a farm, and the guy, he's like, "Where do you want me to put this?" He had to drive on her backyard, like farm area, and just he'd plop the pallet down in the middle of her backyard. Yeah. So anyway, the concept was to get it into as many people's hands as possible as free samples. I didn't sell the beer out of my garage. Yeah. So I was filling and seaming crowlers on a weekly basis just to hand out and give to different people, get into different people's hands. And that was the hustle out of the garage. And that kind of got me to where I'm at today. And, like I said, I did the competition thing for a couple of years, had a lot of success. And then in order to evaluate my own beer, I thought it would be a good idea to get certified as a beer judge. So I did the BJCP certification program.
Nice.
Became a national judge in that program. So I was not only brewing and submitting beers to competitions, I was judging beers across the country.
Really?
Anything I do, I dive deep into.
It's just like head first. Let's do this. Yeah. Come on, right?
I would drive out to Pittsburgh, Philly. I went to Chicago. So I went all in, like I do with anything that I do, and then I got certified as a Cicerone.
Level 2.
And finally went up to the American Brewers Guild to get my brewing science and engineering diploma.
Oh, nice!
Awesome. Wow. Which explains something, because the one thing that really, so John lied to me. You were not just a home brewer that just opened a brewery. You were.
Well, I didn't lie to you. I didn't know this until he came on the show. So
John inadvertently lied to me. Because there's a lot more steps.
I knew. That's all.
It's an inadvertent lie, but explains one thing, because thinking that, okay, there's a home brewer that's opened a brewery. Usually what you see there is a problem with scale. That scaling up is not an easy thing to do from home brew to production brewing.
Yeah, I mean,
and considering what I was there in the first week that you opened, that so many of these recipes are dialed in. That Czech lager is so damn good. It was
that Tmave Pivo was like,
so it was amazing.
It was
so the fact that
I'm not blowing smoke, and neither is he.
Yeah, no, not at all. I'm hearing that this home brewer opened a brewery, so I'm expecting a scaling issue where the beers are probably a little watery. It's not fully flavored. The body might not be there yet because of that. Walk in, first thing I order is the Tmave Pivo. Start drinking that, and like, this is beautiful. How's this possible? Now we know how it's possible. You went through all those steps there. That's solves that mystery solved. Mark that off.
Well, okay. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, well, this is why he comes on the show, right? He says what the process was, and now we know. So there you go.
Now we know. Now you can stop lying, John.
I didn't lie.
You can stop spreading.
Giving it a Tommy Cutlets.
Yeah.
There you go. Quick aside, Jeff. Your football team.
Football team.
Giants, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah.
Unfortunately, well,
we're Giants fans too. We get that.
We're Giants fans, but come on. Yes, unfortunately, I agree with you, but we could all be Jets fans. So.
True, it could be worse.
in our lifetime, we've seen them win 4 Super Bowls.
The Giants, yes, not the Jets.
No, not the Jets. My lifetime of they won one in my lifetime.
I didn't see it. You didn't see it. Yeah.
Bit of a
and I'm only going to guess that I'm
probably too busy
assuming that Jeff is a little younger than you and I, so I'm sure he wasn't even there.
He's probably not alive when
the Jets won. Yeah.
When was that? What year?
69.
I was not alive.
I was probably.
I
Still,
won't ask when, but let it go. We'll let it go.
I was still probably crapping diapers.
As was I.
So,
So that's why, yeah.
Yeah, you're younger than I am.
I'm younger than you, yeah. So anyway, quick aside to this conversation. Let's put a pause. Dave, I know you opened your second beer. I opened mine.
I did.
All right. What was it?
Base Knock, Idaho 7.
Base Knock as well. There you go.
Yeah, and still drinking it out of the lovely glass that got inaugurated tonight.
As I am drinking this out of the Treehouse Tea Coop as well. That's
this
a pretty
is-
beer. Look at that.
It is a very pretty beer. It's a very tasty beer. I mean, this is really now. Is this going to be a series of single hop IPAs?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you did Nelson was the first one, and Idaho 7's the second one.
The first one was actually Nectaron.
Oh, Nectaron. No, I'm sorry.
Nectaron.
Nectaron.
This one, because this is just, and I love what you've done here. You still get you're still getting the malt base in there, but the hops really, really shine. You can really taste, the individuality of Idaho 7. There is that, the melon, I'm getting more blood orange, like a very dry citrus rather than the wet citrus of Citra.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, that's a great showcase for the hop. And you're going to use the same malt bill for every single one of these, correct?
Yeah. It's a pretty simple malt bill. 80-20 pills, oats,
Mm-hmm.
kind of to, just to highlight the hops,
It worked.
So this is all single malt. So hot side, dry hop, everything's Idaho 7.
Correct.
Okay.
Wow. That's
awesome. When I stopped by on Saturday, I had to go up. Obviously, I went up to the Liberty Science Center for Brewology for the beer fest, and Dave was up there as well. But I stopped by and picked up the 4-pack. I picked up, and I had one outside. As I walk up, Jay Goldstein from Icarus and Dave Schwartz from Alt Endings, formerly of Kane, were outside. So of course, I'll go get a beer. All right, gotta hang out. So it's a great space. Let's talk about the space a little bit. That's where I was going with this. So now the inside, you have a couple of different areas of taproom space, if you will, and two different bars too. You're sitting at one right now, and there's another one in front, and then you have the outdoor space. So talk about the brewery. Let's talk about the brewery a little bit. The actual space.
Yeah. So you're spot on. I wanted to create unique spaces within the building, so that the customer could experience different vibes and feels each time they came in or throughout their visit. Mm-hmm. We have a front bar, which actually was not even really in the plans to begin with. That was actually just going to be like a barrel wall. And the back bar, which you probably notice is a little more refined and modern in look and feel. That was going to be the only bar. And as we were building out and I was spending time in the space, I realized just to have that one bar in the back is going to be a pinch point for traffic flow and for the bartenders. So I asked my general contractor, hey, is there any way we could just put up a wood bar here in the front and, alleviate that pinch point? So that's the genesis behind that front bar. And the main tasting area has high top tables, which can be pushed together to be more of like a communal space in the center. And then as you walk around the side, we have like a little loungy type nook in the back
with comfy couches.
Yeah, with leather couches. Supposed to be a rug that's going down on that floor, which has been back ordered for 14 months.
But when it gets there, it will tie the room together.
Yes.
Don't you love that? It's back order, 14 months. Make the damn thing already.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we got a little drink rail there in the corner with swivel bar stools.
Right.
And then, like a bistro type area with one-on-one seats so that couples can come, even though for some reason the kids always just gravitate towards those leather bank
because they rotate. That's spin.
In the 4 times I've been there so far, and then you've been open 6 weeks. In the 4 times I've been there so far, 2 of the times I've sat at those tables you're talking about. So.
Okay.
Because he's a kid. He likes to spin.
I'm a kid. I gravitate towards that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the back area, it's crazy. I didn't know what that area was gonna operate like, or want to be and feel like, or what the consumer was going to utilize it to be. And opening weekend, we were so packed that we ended up expanding what I just viewed as potentially being private event space at some point. It's now become,
which is always awesome to have, by the way. Obviously.
Yeah, it's kind of been a core component of the main tasting space. And we have a single set of cornhole boards back there. I have a second one that I've been meaning to put out. But anyway, it's a little darker back there, a little, different vibe. There's a kid's table in the back area, which was my son's when he was younger. So we repurposed that. We got some games back there.
Why not?
So just a different space. We'll probably be adding some standing barrels in front of the bright tanks, if you can picture that.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So long story short, different spaces, different feels, different vibes, to the point where after the interior space got kind of close to being done, I'd be like, hey, to my brother, I'd say, hey, you got to come over and drink a beer in the bistro tonight. We got to test this place out,
Of course.
And tomorrow we got to go to the lounge, and the next day we got to go to the back bar, So you get different looks and feels.
You should test every seat.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, every seat. You got to test every seat.
100%. All right. That's awesome. I mean, the space, the way you develop the space, the way the front is, and around even a little bit of the front tasting room around to like the area in front of where the bathrooms is, even that.
Yep.
The flow over there and around, it's really, really, really neat.
But you also explained why the Lucre tap is down at the back bar. So I was wondering, why is the Lucre at the front? But if you did the back bar first and the second one was the afterthought,
Right.
It explains why the Lucre is in the back.
Right.
Yes, and we have the beautiful Crowler seaming machine, which is pretty to look at, but we're not filling Crowlers.
Not filling Crowlers right now. Like get through these opening months, selling the beer over the right. Exactly, of course. So let's talk about what's behind you. Let's talk about the brew house and the tanks. What how big of a brew house are you operating?
So we got a 7-barrel brew house with a combination of 7-barrel and 14-barrel fermenters. Yeah,
that's awesome. And the beer,
which the hot liquor tank is probably the most useful tool on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
I think I mentioned that to you when you came in. Like,
we did, yeah. It's that 100% is the most useful tool. Yeah, exactly. For even both ways. Using the heat X afterwards, bringing stuff back into the HTL. HLT. Anyway. So how right now you're putting out, if memory serves, you have 6 on a regular basis, 6 beers.
Yeah, we've bounced around between 5 and 7 so far.
Gotcha.
One of them
being a Lucre tap, a side pull. One of them being the what's been on the 71 coffee stout.
Yes.
And then having four IPAs, a couple doubles, a couple this, that.
Yeah. So my concept behind my tasting list is, like I said, I always want to have a lager on. I kind of view it as bookends, right? A lager on the front end and a stout on the back end.
Nice.
Maybe 2 of each, but at least 1 of each. And then everything packed in the middle is going to be hoppy, whether it's a hoppy pale ale, an IPA, or a double IPA.
Gotcha.
I love hop.
Who doesn't, right? Will you ever brew the amber ale?
I don't think so. It doesn't appeal to me at this point in time.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
You gotta pick like maybe like for the 5th anniversary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
You know, something like that, like a
That
goal,
sounds
like
cool.
at some point, you know, hey, first time we've ever brewed this, you know, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But no, it's awesome. Well, the IPAs are coming out fantastic.
Yeah,
The
that is
talk about
amazing.
some of the names. What was it? What was the General?
General Garrett.
Yeah, General Garrett. Yep, that was the first double that you had on.
Yeah, so he is the township's namesake. So his name was Garrett Wall, and
Okay.
he was an officer in the military as well as a senator in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking, hundreds of years ago.
Sure,
maybe
long
100
time
years.
ago.
Yeah.
So I just thought that could be a strong brand name, General
Mhm.
Garrett. And, around here, the staff just references him as the General.
The General.
Yeah.
If you go on Wikipedia and look him up, it's a pretty cool picture that we're eventually going to put on a can.
That'd be awesome. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome. And then I mentioned before the 71 Coffee Stout that you have on. You're on Route 71.
Yes.
Which, if anybody doesn't know, is H Street.
Correct. My water bill, they're H Street.
H Street, yes.
Yeah, so 71 is the state highway where the brewery is. And my favorite coffee place is right down the street, Turnstile Coffee. So we collaborated with them on that coffee stout. Really good people down there. I see them pretty much every week, and then they've been in on the evenings. So it's been a fun time working with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Mike and Dave are great guys. They're great. Yeah.
What I just pulled up
pulling
the
I'm
Garrett
trying to pull
Wall.
up the picture. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's got his collar popped and tight. There it is.
And the best part is the
The
hand.
hand in the chat. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's so
there you
cool.
There you
GD Wall.
GD
Yeah.
Wall.
So you'll be seeing some of him on
That's
cans,
awesome.
maybe on some T-shirts. You never
Love
know.
it. Love it. Awesome. Great idea.
General in the War of 1812.
1812. There you go. So yeah, some other beer names. You've done Belmar Boulevard.
Yeah, just as a whole, I kind of wanted to tie into the local community and pay homage to where I'm from and where I currently live, and my experiences growing up. I know all these local places, and
Sure.
Wall Township's unique because it has all these different neighborhoods that you can kind of pull from and tell stories about. And then, obviously the streets. So I grew up on Belmar Boulevard. So that was an easy one. I also think it's a strong name. That we have Robin Way, which is where I currently live.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I should be giving out this information, but I am.
Well, you didn't say the number of the house you're at. So
Yeah.
So
unless Robin Way has one house on it, I think you're okay.
yeah, you got to be careful because I know that, and I'm going to say it just once. Augie Carton has actually had people show up to his house.
Oh boy.
Bob Olson as well, but then again, his address used to be the brewery's address, so that's his own damn.
Well, he just show up the brewery. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then it's cool because then you have people come in every week and they see, and one really important one that I put on last week was Sonatronics, which is the name of the previous operator at the building.
At the building, yeah.
So I've had multiple people reach out to me saying that they worked here, or their mom or dad worked here, and that it, meaning to them. So I think it's cool to tie into the roots of the local town. And
100%. It definitely brings the community together. Everybody you have in there, and even people from elsewhere, if they know even anything about the area, it's going to tie something to them.
Right.
Have you had anybody yet that actually worked at Sonatronics come in?
I don't think so. A lot of those were just like either emails or messages on social media.
Gotcha. I was going to say, because if somebody worked at Sonatronics walked in, they'd be like, "Oh my God, this is no."
It's funny. When I was very small.
You were very small.
At one point, I was very small, 4 years old. My mom, we lived in Wall, and we lived at the Atlantic Manor Apartments on Atlantic Avenue, next to the what is now Peddler's Village, which is now kind of just it's empty, isn't it?
Down by the circle. It's empty. It's been empty forever.
Yeah.
When I lived there, I think it was the Grand Union.
Grand Union was in there. Yeah.
Yep, it was the Grand Union, and I remember going in there with my mom once, and Miss New Jersey was there for some reason.
At the Grand Union?
At the Grand Union. There's a picture of me, my mom, my older brother, and Miss New Jersey.
Who's been on the show, by the way? Anybody? His older brother's been on the show.
Oh, no, not Mr.
Not
Miss
New
New Jersey.
Jersey.
That's what I thought.
Miss New Jersey. He's been on the show, Miss New Jersey.
Hey, this is 2024.
That's true. That's
They
true.
can identify as
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I remember was it Circle Freeze or something like that? Was the ice cream place right there on the corner?
Yeah, it's now Cluck You.
Yes, it's Cluck.
I remember
Cluck You
Circle
chicken.
You know, and one of my favorite places in Wall was a place called Le Chalet. It was a bakery right on 35, and every birthday cake we got was from there. It had the whipped cream frosting and the shaved chocolate. My brother to this day still talks about that cake.
He's actually talked about that cake on this show.
He has talked about that cake on the show. I forgot about that. He absolutely has. But yeah, I remember lots about Wall. Still, Hink's Turkey Farm.
Oh yeah,
because we lived right across the street from the damn thing. Best damn chopped coleslaw that you could get.
And what road would that be on?
Atlantic Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Right on Atlantic.
There you go. Fair
Right
enough.
off the circle. So
Love it. There you go.
yeah, I heard a lot of memories from Wall, even though we didn't live there that long and I was very young, but those are some of my first memories.
Then you moved to Jackson, but that's besides the point.
Oh no, Jackson was like four or five down the road after that.
Yeah, well, I mean,
we moved around.
You moved around. You jumped around. You hopped around. So anyway,
Almost always ocean in Monmouth County, though.
this is true. There you go. What's funny, Jeff, is I grew up in North Jersey. Dave grew up in Central Jersey, Monmouth, Ocean County, whatever. Now I live in Monmouth County. He lives in North Jersey,
Hudson County.
So anyway, so we talk about the fact that I grew up in Taylorham. He grew up in Port Royal. Now he lives in Taylorham, and I live in Port Royal.
Gotcha.
You saw that one meme that had New Jersey split, and Northern Jersey was Taylor Swift, Lower Jersey was Port Royal Swift.
Right.
Oh man.
That would have been funnier if you did it the other way around. Port Royal Swift and Taylor Swift. No, it would have been funny the way you did it.
I did, yeah, because people are like Port Royal Swift. What's he talking about?
Port Royal Swift.
You got to set it up with what people
Swift
understand first.
I know. It was a joke. Anyway.
Oh, anyway. That wincing was not the back page.
The wincing was not the back pain. Well, see, I had to put something out there that would have made you wince that wasn't the back pain. Anyway, all right. So what events are you planning? Any events for this year? Either outside events or even events at the brewery coming up, or haven't you gotten that far? You just want to get through the first couple of months of being open, and see where it goes.
Kind of had our heads down, just busting butts over here. So I wouldn't say there's any like big like public events planned, but I'll tell you what, we've been getting a million private event requests, which has been great.
Is that tone on your side, Jeff?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Because we're trying
It's
to
fine. We were trying to figure out.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out where it's coming from. John's looking at me. I'm looking at him. We're like, we just want to know where it came from.
If you give me a second, I could get rid of it.
No, you
don't need to.
It's all good. It's all good. If I just knew it was coming, I'd be like,
"Here we go."
Before it happens.
I think I just did it. We'll see.
No, it's fine.
I do know a big day here is going to be Belmar St. Patty's Day.
Oh my God!
Parade Day is going to be Parade Day is always a big day.
That's one I wouldn't even call it an event for us, but it's one that we're planning around and planning for.
I just thought that I ought to be able to get across Main Street to get over to you.
Yeah,
you probably want to invest in some buckets for people to into.
Yeah, we're putting a lot of protocols in place to try to make it the best experience for not only the customer but also for our staff. So,
Are you open? You're open at noon, obviously.
probably 10.
Really?
I would say usually earlier when that thing's going. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, then I will definitely walk over and have a pint before I.
Yeah, I mean,
You
if
know,
anything,
A pint.
we're considering.
Well, I got to get back before the parade starts. Is my point.
Yeah.
I got to cross Main Street and get back to over here before I can.
If anything, we might close a little early. If you're starting early and you know how that day goes, right?
Oh yeah.
I don't know how long I want to be open.
Belmar's
That's
a
true.
drunken city to begin with. Then you just throw St. Patrick's Day into it, and you can't say it's a shit show. It's more of a puke show. But it's a lot of
It's
fun.
been, I mean, years ago. Yes, I'd agree with you. But
That's the last time I was
still to a point. I mean, it has its moments, but it's not what it was in the 80s.
I'm remembering the 80s.
Whatchamacallit. So, I mean, you can. I'm exaggerating a little bit. You can cross Main Street. Obviously, when there's a break in the people, you can walk across the parade and get over. But I always make about 6 corned beefs, and we go up and we watch some of the parade. We hit a couple of places, and then we come back and we have our corned beef and soda bread and cabbage and everything else. But
I got a question for you. In the first couple of months, the experience during, because your reception's been fantastic. The place was packed when we were there, and I've heard it's remained packed almost every day since you opened. Are you seeing mostly local support? Are you seeing the beer nerds doing a trip to check out the new brewery? Is it a mix, or is it something else?
I'd say it's a mix. We're starting to see a little bit more of the beer adventure type people coming down because they.
You can call us beer nerds. We accept that.
we all resemble that remark. So
yeah.
It's been kind of hard to pinpoint because I feel like it's locals, but then I've had lifelong Wall Township people who have also been in here every weekend, and they're like, dude, this is nuts because I don't know any of these people on a weekly basis, and I've lived in Wall my entire life.
Right.
So I it's hard to answer, but I feel like it's local people.
A good mix.
Yeah, it's a mix. It's been really good, and like I said, I think we're starting to get those people who are traveling a little bit these last couple weekends. I've noticed at least.
Well, that's always the case, and that's always a good thing, and that's a good barometer to go by, because if you have a lot of transient people, doing the visiting on a regular basis, that's a perfect scenario.
Yeah, especially have them returning. Then that's those who have traveled then come back.
Right.
That shows you're doing something right. And John will attest to this. Usually a new brewery, I'm not going to visit it until it's been open at least 2-3 months for 2 reasons. One, a new brewery attracts so much attention. I don't want to be part of that crush. 2, you usually have to give them time to dial in their brews. You didn't need that time. So I was really happy that I got down as soon as I did. And anybody who's listening, get the Bakes. If you've not been there yet, they're doing some really good stuff. Jeff's got his stuff dialed in from day one.
Yeah.
Thank you. So appreciate that.
That's
nice. This beer is, I mean, everything I've had, and to be quite honest with you, the only thing I haven't had so far is the Keller beer. I had the.
Did you just pick up cans, or did you have a pint when you came in?
I had a pint of the base knock, yeah. So, but I did. The only thing you've put out, to the best of my recollection, looking at your tap list, that I haven't had the Keller beer yet.
Okay.
So I'll have to, assuming that's still on, I'll have to pop over on Friday and have a beer.
I'm checking out the label on base knock. It's obviously named after baseball. Your love of baseball. The dark line only goes to first base.
Yes.
Will that line progress around the bases at some point, or is it just?
Well, that's a single. I mean, that's
a single. Yeah,
it's a single.
Yeah.
it's
So
a
it
single
ties-
malt hop. That's the point.
ties into the single hop. If you look at a baseball scorebook, right, when you score a single, it's just that
Mhm.
line.
I'm one of those, and I coach my kids. I have 3 kids. I coach my 2 daughters in softball. I coach my son in baseball. But I'm one of those geeks, if you want to call me that. That anytime I go to a Met game or any game, I'm getting the program and I'm
That's
scoring.
awesome. I love that.
Actually, I score watching baseball at home. I always found a little boring. So to keep myself an interest in the game, when I'm home, I would score the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew all the scoring for it. When I'm at the game, I'm too busy throwing food and beer down my gullet to actually score the game.
So let's recap. Dave scores at home. When he goes out, he never scores.
No, never. As it should be.
Well, I mean, if you look at it like that, yes, absolutely.
As it should be. When you're with somebody.
Well, now that works for you. When you're 18, not so much. Not so much. So.
Well, I do. In college, my friends referred to me as my own worst cock block.
Your own worst. There you go. There you go.
So it was probably true back then too.
There you go. Anyway, but yeah, no, I do that every time. Anytime I'm at Citi Field, or even if I'm at a Red Sox game, well, more on that in a minute. Or I love, we'll talk about stadiums if you want, but one of my favorite stadiums that's not a stadium of one of my favorite teams is PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Awesome Park. Yeah, I'll
Never
sit there.
been.
That may show up later in the show.
I score every game. I sit there, I get the book, and I score every game.
Well, if you go to,
I'll take it if I go get a beer, I take the damn book with me, and I'm. Or I try to get a beer and get back if I'm only like missing one batter and I can fill it in, But
yeah, but back to your point on the base knock label, I think that I refer to that brand as having legs. So it might be able to grow into a double or a triple at some point.
I like that. That's awesome. I love the references. So that's awesome.
Seeing eye single. Makes it into the hole and you can stretch it to a double.
There you
I'm pouring a base knock right now.
You're pouring a base knock right now?
You can tell by the color. That is.
Hey, you know what? I'll even put the curl up for you. There you go.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Was
that a non-labeled can? So it was a short fill or?
It's a double fill.
Oh, there you go.
So the first fills that they do are double fills.
Nice.
They go right into the staff bucket.
Gotcha. Using we'll talk about that later. Dave, you poured your third beer. So.
I did. I only had 2 bakes, so I apologize. I don't have a third to share. Excuse me. So I poured, and John brought this back for me from his Rhode Island trip. It's from Long Live. It's called Robot House.
Mm-hmm.
Further aged German Pilsner, and debuting a drinking vessel. Can't say a glass. A drinking vessel on the show here. This is, and the thing is, because it's frosted now, you can't see it. But here's the Beer Samurai logoed. This is sterling silver beer mug. So straight balling in here.
Well, he's not pretentious. He works for Tiffany's. So.
I'm not allowed to say who I work for in this show.
You didn't. I did.
Oh, I did. That's right. I did. This was my 24. I have 2 of these. It was my 25 year anniversary gift. So you get to pick what you want. I'm like, throwing silver beer mugs. Hell yeah. So. And the thing is, I rarely ever drink out of them because they tarnish so badly when you do.
You gotta love it. How is that?
This? Oh, you know, Long Live. Long Live does some wonderful stuff, and I
do. What
I love about this is the German style Pilsner. You get that German Pilsner flavor, but you can also taste the foeder in it. You can taste the wood, and that's exactly what it should be. And really enjoy this beer. Ellie had you bring 2 back from you, didn't
from Long Live, yes, 2.
Yeah, only 2. That's a shame.
I brought you. There was 3 cases of beer that I handed you, but
2 of them were Treehouse.
2 of them were Treehouse. but that yes, that
And most of the treehouse was Rock beer.
was rock beer. Yes, exactly. And then I'm drinking for my third beer, a Czech Pale Lager from Dancing Gnome. Speaking of Pittsburgh,
Nice. Got to get out there. Got to get out
yeah.
there.
Pittsburgh's amazing. I love Pittsburgh. I love the area. I love the beer.
Maybe next year because I've got to.
Sorry for the selfless.
Oh, there you go. The self. Yeah. I want probably next year I'll get to because this year I used to live in Rhode Island, so John's trip made me a little second homesick, as you put it. I'm a Jersey boy, but living that year in Rhode Island through the pandemic actually kind of imprinted on me. So it's my second home, and I miss it. So I got to get up there. Probably going to go in fall.
Nice, nice.
Have you been to the Grist House Brewery?
I love Grist House. Nothing against Dancing Gnome. Grist House is my favorite brewery in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I like that place.
When I get there, that's definitely on the list.
I go to Grist House and I sit there for hours. I don't leave.
Do they still do, or do they always do pizza outside?
Yeah, it's out there. Pizza's out there.
Yeah.
When was the last time you were there?
4 years ago.
They opened a new space too. They built from the back where in the back was the tasting room, and the breweries in the back. They built a new tasting room with a huge bar, a winding bar in the front, like another building. The back is still used. They didn't replace it. It's just additional.
Gotcha.
So remember they had the outside basically like trucks even pouring beer the outside, right? That's not there anymore. It's all in the front. Yeah,
Gotcha.
but the pizza's still there. Yeah, they still have the pizza. I was just there last time I was there was May last year. So, but yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, there's such good liquid in Pittsburgh. It's silly if you haven't been to Pittsburgh and you like good beer, go. Whatchamacallit,
They have that one brewery that was built inside of an old church.
It's called the Church Brewing.
Church Brew Works. Yeah.
It's one of those, from what I understand from the couple of people I know who have been there. I don't know that John has ever said this to me, but there's that old saw when it comes to places that have beer. The food was good, is what I've heard.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. The beer they brew is good. There's nothing particular. There's nothing wrong with the beer they brew.
But with all the other breweries in Pittsburgh,
with all the other fantastic breweries in Pittsburgh, it lowers itself on the line, like what you need to visit. You know, between even Cinderlands and 11th Hour and Hitchhiker and what's the other one? Old Thunder, Inner Groove. Amazing breweries. There's even a new one that opened up. If you were there 4 years ago, you didn't have them. 4 Points. They're not too far from Heinz Field and PNC Park. They're right. They're maybe 4 blocks away from them. They're doing amazing beer. So there's nothing wrong. Here's the thing about Church Brewing. They have food. The beer is good. There's better beer in Pittsburgh, but the beer is good. But the ambiance. The fact that you're at the ambiance, the fact that you're in a church, go. You got to experience it. Yeah. So.
When I go, it's still on the list.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's still on the list. It'll be lunch or dinner one day.
Sure. And even you get a little bit further out, Abjuration.
I've heard of
that. They're doing amazing sours. If you like sours, go to Abjuration. They have amazing sours out there.
Yeah, I don't want to do just a long weekend because I know that Falling Water is just south of Pittsburgh, which is the Frank Lloyd Wright house.
Yep.
I've always wanted to see Falling Water, so that'll be tied into it. That's just not sure that's even Pennsylvania. I think that's
it's in Pennsylvania.
It is in Pennsylvania.
It's Pennsylvania. Oh yeah, no, it's
so I want to get down there. So there's a lot in the area to do and to see and to drink and to eat.
That's for sure. Like even if you get down to Homestead and you go to the Voodoo, that's their original location is Homestead. And they have like 17 other locations, but their original one is Homestead. They have food there too. The food there is good, and food is some good beer. My point is there's a lot of good beer. Even go to Hofbrau on the south side of the Monongahela.
And I think you once said that it's one of the few places outside of Germany that brews the Oktoberfest.
They don't. No, they brew the
No.
Oktoberfest. Yes, they brew the Oktoberfest. They don't brew. No, I take that back.
It's the other way around.
Yes, the Märzen and the Maybach for Hofbrau, for all the Hofbrau locations, they're only brewed in Munich. That's it.
As it should be.
Everything else is brewed locally for any location of Hofbrau. So, and they actually did a Schwarz beer that was fantastic. I brought back a crowler of it, and I wish I brought back 5 crowlers of it. So.
I certainly hope that it's.
I mean, this is like 2 years ago when I brought it back.
I certainly hope it's on tap in Munich later this year.
Yes, when you go to Hofbrau in Munich. Yes, I know. Dave is going to Munich, Bamberg, and Prague in April. And I have one thing to say about that.
That's the number one right there. Yes. And John, you will get another picture,
I'm sure,
of me drinking Aventinus with tap 6.
One of my favorite beers from Germany. One of my top 5 beers from Germany is Aventinus. And the last time when he went to Italy, he had his flight stopped over in Munich.
5 hour layover.
He had 5 hours in Munich, so he went to. The only thing he did was he went to Schneiderweiss. He went to Schneider.
Well, it's a 45-minute train ride in and back, so that's an hour and a half taken up there. You leave at least an hour to get through customs.
Right.
So I had about an hour for lunch. So we went to one place.
Right. So there. So he's there at 12:30. It's 6 hours of a difference. So at 6:30 in the morning, he's texting me a picture of him drinking Aventinus off a tap 6.
He wakes up to this.
Yeah. Anyway.
But John, I didn't tell you, we got our confirmation for a one-night stay at Spezial Brewery in Bamberg.
You did tell me that.
You got the confirmation, so we'll be.
I thought you were going to say one-night stand, but that's besides the point. Yeah.
No,
you're having a one-night stand in Bamberg.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are with Raut beer. With Raut beer, you're having a one-night stand with Raut beer in Bamberg.
I'm gonna smell like bacon by the time I get back to me.
And you're gonna love every minute of it.
Every minute. Lunch will be at Schlenkerla. Dinner will be at Spezial.
There you go.
And we'll see what happens the next day. How quickly we get back to Munich. But
there you go.
I'm actually looking more forward to Prague and the cabaret at Ufleku.
Yes.
That'll be my birthday. But anyway, back to Bakes.
Yes, let's talk about Jeff, please.
Who? Oh, that guy.
So Jeff, are you? I mentioned it before. You are obviously you're getting through these first few months, navigating the waters and everything else. Obviously, as you should. But are beer fests in your plans? Not specifically, but in the grand scheme. Like, are you planning to do some? Are you going to do any even in-house events? Is there anything on the horizon yet, or are you still just
not yet
navigating the waters?
Still really just gauging supply and demand out of the tasting room and taking care of things here. I go back and forth on how I feel about beer fests. Really, I think it's a good thing in that it could get your name out there, depending on which one. But then on the flip side, I've seen beer fests where people are just there to get hammered, and they don't appreciate the product and what brewery it's coming from and why,
I will. We'll have a chat when we go off. When we're done.
I'll say one of my favorite things about beer fests, because I've poured for a few breweries for beer fests, even though I've never really worked for one or not actually technically in the industry. My favorite part of it is before the gates open, where all the different breweries and the representatives are roaming around, interacting with each other, trying each other's beers, and it's a really great opportunity for making those connections in the beer community. That to me is my favorite part of the beer fest. Then you get the hordes come in, and to your point, there are people there just to get themselves lit. But I love pouring at those events, because being on that side of the taps, the later it gets into the beer event, the more you can start kind of almost abusing these people. And because you're giving them beer, you can get away with it. It's awesome. They think it's funny.
I've had people come up to me at beer fest in the past and say, "Which one has more alcohol in it?"
Yeah,
that's the one they want.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah. So you're spot on with what you're saying.
Absolutely.
But again,
$40, I can drink as much as I want. Awesome.
We'll chat after we're done.
Yeah,
when the show ends, it's private time. I'll tell you.
Yeah. But yeah, there's the time before the event opens. To me, that's the golden hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't have much experience with beer fests. I've probably been to one or two as a consumer.
What have you gone to?
That's about it. I went to one in Montreal.
Went to Mondial?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the big one up there.
Yeah, I was there for a bachelor party and just coincidentally.
Went to Mondial for a bachelor party? That's awesome.
That's a hell of a bachelor party.
And then
you've got good friends, Jeff.
I do.
Let's see. One they take you to Dogfish Head, and one of them has their bachelor party at Mondial. You've got some good friends.
And then Asbury.
Oh, sure.
Convention hall.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But if you decide to get into that, I do know an experienced beer pourer at events that could help pour for you.
That sounds good.
I work for beer, unless it's Bolero Snort. I always steal a shirt when I pour for Bolero Snort.
There you go.
Scott's very aware of this.
Anyway, all right. So
maybe that's why I don't pour for Bolero anymore. I've not been asked.
I think it actually might be the reason you haven't been asked. I got a couple other questions. I'm sure Dave actually does have one or two more, but let's transition to our top threes. Let's do our top threes. We mentioned baseball. We mentioned baseball before.
We mentioned it a few times.
We mentioned it a few times. Base knock, obviously. I'll show the can label again. That is, if you're scoring baseball, that is a single.
That's
right
a single.
There. All right. So our top threes tonight, in honor of the fact that Jeff is our guest on the show, our top threes tonight is top 3 favorite baseball moments of all time. Now, honestly, it can be anything, but Major League Baseball is kind of where I went. But have at it, the two of you. Top 3 favorite baseball moments of all time.
Considering Jeff has played baseball, he might have some that are individual.
You played baseball, didn't you, Dave? I played baseball.
I did play.
You played-ish? All right.
No, I did play.
All right. You
Not
played.
well.
All right. But in any event, top 3 once up, and I'll put it up. The top 3 favorite baseball moments of all time. Jeff, please start us out with your top 3. You can do 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, whatever. No order, whatever you want. It's fine with.
Yeah, so I kind of went a different direction than MLB, although I have a lot of great memories MLB specific.
Mm-hmm.
A big part of my life right now is my son and our baseball team that we've created. I created a baseball team named the Bakes Brewers back in 2020.
I like it.
Do
you have sausages that race around the field?
So hands down, my number one most memorable.
I've actually. Go ahead. I'll tell you in a minute. Go ahead.
Oh, hands down, my top most memorable baseball moment was seeing my son hit his first ever home run. Which happened in May of this year.
Nice.
It was beautiful thing. Whereas my son, I signed him up for T-ball, and he spent most of the time in the outfield, faced the wrong direction. And waiting to get up to bat, he had to be reminded it was his turn at bat because he was too busy trying to dig up worms underneath the bench. So,
okay.
not a player. Good to hear your son's. He's knocked it out of the park, huh?
Yeah, he had multiple this year.
Nice.
But his first one was a special moment for both of us.
100%.
That is something else. It's got to be a great feeling.
That's awesome.
Number 2 also relates to my 11-year-old baseball team that I coach. They won the USABL World Series championship this year.
Oh,
it was
that's
like
amazing.
Huge game. In fact, I broadcast the game over YouTube in the tasting room whenever there's not a major sporting event on. And some of the customers
That's
were like,
great.
"What are we watching here?" I was like, 10-year-old baseball. So that World Series, and then they got nationally ranked this past year as part of that as well. That's my number 2.
That's absolutely amazing.
And then my number 3 does kind of relate to the MLB. I don't know if you guys remember the Yankees Red Sox wild card game. I think it was 3 years ago in Fenway. It was the 1-game playoff to get to the next round of the playoffs when the wild card was kind of the play-in game. I got tickets behind the Red Sox dugout, and I just took me and my son. And it was a tremendous game. And the experience that I had at that game, just being with him, and at that point in time, he was probably 8 years old. And he was just soaking up every single minute of it, as was I. That's my number 3.
Nice. Very
Wow.
nice. Awesome. That's awesome.
It is.
Little Bakes.
Little Bakes.
Little
Little
Bakes.
Bakes. Little Bakes.
Tyler Baker
Yes.
Tyler Baker.
with a 3-run shot.
There you go.
Did he knock any in on his first home run? Was it a single?
No, 2-run homer.
Two-run homer. Nice.
Yeah, it
Beautiful
was
thing.
take the lead in the 5th inning. So it was a big moment.
What's the phrase? You can't get them in unless you get them on. So 2-run shot's a nice thing. I mean, someone got on.
Absolutely.
Nice.
So that
nice.
last one's a good segue to
yours.
To mine, because number 3 for me was I think I inadvertently lied to you, John. I think it was my second game at Citi Field.
Second game at Citi Field.
Took my youngest son, Matthew, to the game. It was on his birthday. And I got the request in early enough to get his name up in the Jumbotron. Awesome. And so I got him, and I knew it was coming up because they said it was at the, when it was going to be. So I had him set up with the Jumbotron behind him. And it comes up, and I take the picture real quick, and I turn to him and go, turn around. He does this. I went all the way around. So he does this. He never saw his name up on the Jumbotron live. I had to show him the picture. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is also at Citi Field, and this was just a funny moment. If you know how to get to the picnic area in Citi Field, it's really kind of cool because you're behind the Mets bullpen. And there's picnic tables back there. There's this one like service corridor that's like it's almost like a trench in front of you between you and the bullpens. And they had this guy warming up. And there's another group of people back there. It's me and my friends at one picnic table, another group. And this guy gets up to warm up for the Mets. And he goes, "Who's this guy?" And I just yelled over to him, "That's the player to be named later." The warm-up pitch. Now, I didn't realize there wasn't a solid glass wall there. I didn't realize it was just chain link. So we didn't know he could hear us. He stops his windup mid-motion, turns around. The catcher has fallen over laughing. He looks at me and goes, "Dude, really?" It's like, okay, we need to go now. It was just when you kind of like accidentally interact with one of the players like that, you're not purposely. I wasn't purposely trying to troll the guy, and I wound up trolling him, and it was kind of funny. But my number 1 is it's the year the Mets won the World Series. It wasn't the winning of the World Series. And Jeff, again, I apologize at the beginning of the show because it's at the cost of your favorite team, the Red Sox. But in Game 6, well, let me back it up because it actually ties in, believe it or not, it actually ties in to the Belmar St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Okay.
I used to work at a place called the Polo Club in Neptune. It's gone now. The building's razed to the ground. It's not even there anymore. But we had a regular there. His name was actually Elvis. And he was one of the guys who ran the parade. And he would come in and he had an RV. And as a tip, because I worked as a valet there, as a tip, he'd say, go into the RV, take whatever you want. I'd always find the bottle of Moet Chandon White Star. And I had 2 of these from parking him twice. and I saved them that year for the Mets. One for when they won the pennant, and two when they won the World Series. And I swore that if they did not make it to here or there, I would pour the bottle because I didn't pay for it, so why not?
Mhm.
So we opened up the one when they won the pennant. They're playing the Red Sox. 2 outs, not the top of the ninth, and the Mets have a couple on, 2 outs, and there's a slow roller down first base.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's over. And I take the bottle of champagne. I'm heading to the window to dump it. I never saw the boot. I never saw the ball go through Buckner's legs. All I heard was, "Don't pour that out." And I turned around because I hadn't popped the cork yet. I'm like, "What?" They're like, and I see who rounded. Was it? It was
Ray Knight. Ray Knight won.
Ray Knight.
Ray Knight scored. Yeah.
Ray Knight scores to win the game. Well, to tie the game at the time, right? It was to tie.
Scored.
No,
He won.
They
won. They
to
won.
win the game. Because I thought the game was over.
Game was tied. If Buckner the game was
No, game would have been over had he played that out. There were two runs must have scored on that play.
2 runs scored. Yeah.
2 runs scored in that play.
Ray Knight scored to win. Yeah.
So
the play before tied it.
We'll have to look that up.
No, 2 runs scored on that play.
2 runs scored on that one because I thought the game was over. We wound up winning it on that.
When Ray Knight crossed home plate.
Ray Knight crossed because I think it was Mookie who scored in front of him.
Mookie's
one who
hit the ball. Mookie hit the ball.
So that moment and being told, "Don't pour that bottle out." So we had to take the bottle, put it back in the fridge, and everyone blamed Buckner for that, but that was Game 6, people.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to remind you what the Red Sox were up 4-2 in like the 6th inning of Game 7, and all the Red Sox fans knew at the time we might be up, but we're still losing this game. It was so inbred into the Red Sox fans that we are never going to win a World Series because the curse of the Bambino.
And it was going to be another 18 years before they did. But in this particular century, they're the winningest World Series team of all Major League Baseball.
And when they finally
World Series in the 2000s. So.
The great thing is when they broke the curse, because I'll tell you one thing. Red Sox fans don't hate the Mets.
I can go in that closet right now and get my Red Sox caps and and Red Sox.
So many Mets fans are Red Sox fans.
Yeah.
And I happen to be, because of my job, I happen to be in New England, if you count Connecticut as New England. I happened to be in New England when the Red Sox won their first World Series since the curse.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so much fun to be in New England, in a hotel bar and celebrate with all the Red Sox fans, them winning their first World Series. So that was kind of cool. So maybe that is an honorable mention there, John.
When you were in Connecticut?
Yeah, when the Red Sox won their first World Series since the curse. But even though the Billy Buckner boot is not my number one, it's the impact of it and the story going up to it with the bottles of champagne.
Fair enough.
So, on to you.
On to
Jersey,
me. I'm just looking for a picture here. Hold on one second. If I have it. No, I don't have it.
John, for every show, John has to pretty much load his whole photo catalog.
Yeah, I know. I'll explain the picture. I don't have it, but anyway.
Play the picture, John.
All right. No, it has nothing to do with my top 3. I was going to say 4 because I have an honorable mention, but no, I was going to show a picture of myself and my son 12 years ago. He's 23. He's going to be 24. He's my baby. He's when he was 11, almost 12. We were up at Fenway and I had a couple pictures I was going to throw up really quick. But anyway, here's my top 3.
You're going to throw up?
I was going to throw up on the screen really quick.
Oh,
there you go. It's not Belmar's parade day yet. I mean, so. Anyway, so my honorable mention, the honorable mention I'm going to give. I have one honorable mention in my top 3. The honorable mention I'm going to give is meeting Tommy Lasorda.
Oh, that's cool.
while sitting at a table for breakfast in San Francisco back in the 80s. I sat down, and literally within 3 minutes of us sitting down at the table, right, like here's our table, and I'm sitting on this corner, right? Here's the next table, and Tommy sits right next to me. So wound up having a nice conversation with him.
Cool.
Great guy. That's my honorable mention. That was really cool. Sit there and
Cool.
basically have breakfast with Tommy Lasorda. That was pretty cool. All right. So my number 3.
He may have been the one who said my quote earlier. You can't get him in unless you get them on. And we're not getting him on, so we're not getting him in.
We're not getting him in, right?
Was that Lasorda? That may have been Lasorda.
I think it was Lasorda, yeah.
Actually.
Why don't you check? But anyway, my number 3, all right, is back in May of 1978, getting a Reggie Jackson during batting practice, getting a Reggie Jackson foul ball during batting practice.
I've heard this story.
It was a Saturday, Kansas City Royals versus the Yankees. I know I'm a Mets fan. I was in a Yankee game. My father's a Yankees fan.
Okay.
I'll explain that in a second.
Somehow the hell you wound up as a Mets fan.
Right, but in any event, in May of 78. Anyway, and well, my father was a Giants fan, a baseball Giants fan, and football Giants fan. When the Giants moved to San Francisco, he didn't want to be a San Francisco fan. So he never hated the Yankees because he hated the Dodgers, right? Because he was a Giants fan. So he was watching the Yankees, never really like embraced the fandom. And then when the Mets came along, he started watching the Mets too. So it was kind of like even for him. So when I was born, I kind of watched both. And I kind of picked my team as the Mets, and he kind of stayed with the Yankees. So he's a Yankees fan that doesn't hate the Mets. I don't really hate the Yankees, but I'm more of a Mets fan, and I don't hate the Red Sox. So if you want to say it's like Mets, Red Sox, Yankees, that's fine, but whatever you want to say. But anyway, so that was my number 3.
Okay.
The Reggie, and you figure, as a kid catching a Reggie Jackson foul ball, batting practice, that would right there cement I'm a Yankee fan. Nope, I'm a Mets fan. So my number 2,
because you enjoy pain,
because I enjoy pain, right,
and heartbreak,
right,
and disappointment.
This is true.
Aggravation, frustration.
You just keep listening. I'll be quiet for a minute. You keep. My number 2.
Pull out my thesaurus.
Exactly. At Shea Stadium, not Citi Field, at Shea Stadium back in the 80s, watching my buddy Dennis Scalzitti make history by starting the K corner for Doc Gooden. In 1984, Dennis and his buddy Bob Beal, they actually were the guys out in the bleachers. Not actually weren't in the bleachers, they were in the upper deck, out in the outfield.
Down the right field.
Hanging in right field, in left field.
They were in right field.
They were in left field, hanging the K's over the corner just for Doc Gooden games. So they did it for Doc Gooden games. In fact, they just interviewed my buddy Dennis a couple weeks ago. SNY came, and assuming, Dave, if we go to the retiring Doc Gooden's number in April.
So I may be in Germany.
Well, no, I think it's actually late in April, so you might be back. But
we need to get tickets for that.
In any event,
you were there when they
on the jumbo
Keith's
number, right? On the jumbotron, the movie or whatever you want to call it that they play, Dennis is going to be part of that.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it was really cool. So he's a great guy. He's one of his hand painted K's, and it was all hand painted then, right? There was no printing back in '84, right?
Now the stadium's got a digital.
Well, that's it. He started that, right? One of his hand-painted Ks are in Cooperstown, in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He started that, and almost every ballpark has a digital K corner, and Dennis started that. So that's my number 2. And my number 1 favorite baseball moment of all time is sitting, and this is going to be a little convoluted, but you'll understand. Sitting at Giant Stadium. Monday night, October 1986, watching the New York Giants beating the Washington Redskins on a Monday Night Football game on their way to winning the Super Bowl that year. All right. And all of us, there's 8 of us sitting at the game watching listening on portable radios and watching. There was a couple of portable TVs we had, watching Game 7. I didn't sit at home or wherever and watch Game 7. I was at the Giants game watching Game 7 of the 1986 World Series, and they stopped play on the field, not for a commercial. They stopped play on the field to announce that the Mets won. Once Jesse Orosco threw,
the glove that never came
the glove
down.
in the air, right, and everything else. They stopped play on the field at Giant Stadium to announce that the Mets were the world champs, and everybody went nuts because you were either, for the most part, at Giant Stadium, you're either a Mets fan or a Yankees fan. So all the Mets fans were thrilled because the Mets won the World Series. All the Yankees fans were thrilled because the Red Sox lost the World Series. Yeah. So that's my number one favorite baseball moment. So there you go. Anyway,
so I did open a fourth, John.
I'm sure you did. What was it?
This is called self-medication for the back. So
the Abyss
tonight. I opened the Shoots the Abyss.
The Shoots the Abyss. I haven't opened mine yet.
You
got that from Tavor, right?
Yeah, it's
because I told you to buy it from Tavor when it was listed, right?
No, you told me to buy it, and I said I've got 4 in my crate already.
Oh, you did it.
There's still 3 right down there. It's the 22. John, there is a slight oxidation to it.
Is there? I haven't opened. I only got one because I buy way too much from Tavor, so I only bought one. So.
But the
in a good way or a bad way?
It's not too bad. I think it's more pronounced because I'd had a German Pilsner prior, so it made it a little more pronounced. And we've talked about this on the show all the time. What you drank or ate before will impact
100%.
how you're tasting the beer.
Of course. That
you're drinking. So I've drank a few more of these. The oxidation's still a little present, but it's still got that cola, chocolate, deep caramel flavor that you're used to from Abyss. And the cola is not what you're usually used to, but I think the oxidation plays into that.
Yeah, that cola note in that is definitely going to be from the oxidation, 100%.
Yeah. So, but it's still Abyss. It's still a pretty high ABV, which is going to make me happy for the night. I feel like, a 22-year-old at a beer fest looking for these high ABVs, but this is really only for a physical painkiller, where most of them are looking for.
What's the ABV on it?
ABV on this sucker is 11.5. So, yeah, that'll help me sleep tonight.
There you go.
That'll help you forget.
I've never had that.
You've not.
Shoots the Abyss is good. If you come across it, drink it. Clearly, drink it a little fresher. But I've had Abyss. It's weird you said it's only a 22.
There's times I've had it 3-4 years old.
I've had it 5-6 years old. It's been great. Yeah.
So maybe it's just
the year. Maybe it's the year. Maybe they made too much.
I don't know if it's the year.
Maybe it's how and nothing against Tavor because I spend way too much money with Tavor, but maybe it's the way they sort it. Maybe the way they have.
It may have been the shipping because remember, John. Here's the one thing: if you order from Tavor, don't do it in December.
No, that's true.
Because it takes over a month to get to you, so that might be part of it. I'm looking at the bottle cap. The bottle cap, there's a little few bubbles in the bottle cap, but that's normal. There's nothing. There's no other breaks. So I don't think it's the. Okay, you can stay over there.
Just leave it there.
You probably heard.
Leave it there. The cat will get it.
Yeah, the cat. We don't have a cat. We have a ferret.
Leave it there. The ferret will get it.
But the ferret's so damn old that it's not going anywhere.
Ferret's not going to give it.
And it's a couple rooms away. It doesn't care. But no. So maybe next time I come down to Bakes, Jeff, I'll bring one of my remaining bottles so you can taste this.
There you go.
Even though it's not the best representation.
It could be that bottle too. You never know.
It could be a single bottle.
The bottle.
It's like that though. The Sam Adams triple box. The ones from '84. Some of them were just spectacular.
94.
Some of them were absolutely spectacular. Some of them were just
soy sauce.
Yeah. So who knows? But next time I come down to Bakes, I'll bring a bottle for you to try, Jeff.
Awesome. All right. Anything else? Anything that you are planning that you haven't, put out there yet this year, or even for the future, for that matter?
Not at the time being. We're definitely going to start canning more frequently and in more volume.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, I want to get
100%.
beer into the hands of more people.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Any plans for distro at any point, or just everything out of the brewery for now, and you'll figure that out as you go.
Yeah, for now, out of here, probably some very select accounts that make sense from a marketing standpoint.
Sure.
Very local places, or places that make sense from a co-branding perspective.
100%. That's awesome. That's good. That's, hey, look at it this way, right? There's with the size of your facility and the beer you're putting out and the people that are coming to the brewery, if you can sell 100% of it at the brewery, sell 100% of it.
Yes.
At the brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the payout for distribution is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's straight profit for the brewery.
Right,
100%.
Exactly.
That's a beautiful way to do it.
100%.
And the reception you're getting so far,
Mm-hmm.
You could probably run that model for a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I haven't talked to anybody that I've talked to that's been there or had anything feels the same way that Dave and I do.
But you will see that kind of slide off when the newness, the polish off the apple.
Mm-hmm.
That all occurs where you'll.
Well, you know what? Here's the other thing, though. He may not feel that because of
because of his location.
Not only because of his location and the season we're getting into.
Summer.
So it might actually peak and rise all the way through next holidays.
Yeah,
and then the only time he'll
so it's what John's saying here, Jeff, is don't get spoiled.
Spoil yourself all you want, Jeff. Spoil yourself all you want.
You've got yourself timed out very, very well. And I love the reception you've gotten. I love to see any new brewery do as well as you're doing
100%.
in New Jersey.
I want everybody to open and do fantastic.
Absolutely, except for this Coastal Brew Works I keep hearing about.
Oh, screw them.
They can go fuck themselves. As I drink out of a Coastal.
There you go.
They're also our sponsor, Jeff. So I might get fired now.
Gee, I wonder why.
May have just lost my job here. No, the reception you're getting, because we root for every.
I gotta go like this.
Because we root for every. Actually, we root for everybody. Every brewery, regardless of state. But a little stronger for our Jersey.
And I've said this on the show a million times, but you haven't heard me say it yet. It's not about competition. It's about co-opetition. We're all in it for the same reason. And here's the thing. Here's the scenario I always put out there, and I'll say it in case there's anybody out there that hasn't heard me say that. And of course, Jeff, you haven't heard me say it. If a Bud Light drinker is going to a bar and he's going to have 5 beers, he's going to have 5 Bud Lights. Mm-hmm. If a Heineken drinker is going to a bar and he's going to have 5 beers, he's going to have 5 Heinekens. If a craft beer drinker is going to a bar and he's going to have 5 beers, he's going to have 5 different craft beers. He's not going to have one and have the same one for the other 5.
Right.
He's going to have 5 different craft beers. So it's a
good take.
It's a family. We're all together in this. Let's hype everybody else up. Let's boost everybody else up. Let's make this work for everybody.
Which is why I say the before a beer festival opens, that's why it's the golden hour.
Yeah.
Because you have old friends getting back together, new friends coming into it, being embraced. There's no the competition side of it doesn't really enter into the beginning. It's just, hey, what are you guys doing now? What are you doing now? What are you doing? How can we help? It is the New Jersey beer community is a community.
Many collab beers are born out of beer fests.
Yeah.
2 beers, having 2 or 3 beers before beer fest starts. Yeah, we got to do that. Call me next week. We'll put something on the schedule.
Yeah. Here's a news flash for everybody watching who's not in the beer industry. By the time the gates open to a beer festival, half the people that are pouring for you are already lit. Because they've been partaking for hours prior to the brewery. Whatever brewery happens to get their kegs tapped first, people are already there pouring. Then they're finishing tapping their kegs.
Right.
It's just it's so much fun before the event opens. It's a great way to get to know everybody who's at the event, and the more and more you go to, the broader it all becomes. It's just so much fun.
Yeah. Look, what you've been doing there, the beer you're putting out from
So
day
good.
one. Jeff, please believe me, I'm not blowing any smoke up your ass, and neither is Dave. Really, really, really good.
Very few breweries have opened up day one,
and I'm not
the quality that you're putting out.
And I'm not even saying that you should be listening to us. You should know this. You're a BJCP judge. You should know your beer is good. All right.
Appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. And look, like I said, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, anybody that I've talked to, I went down. The first time I was there was opening weekend. We were there on Saturday. You opened on a Friday. We were there on a Saturday. I went. Dave wasn't there. It was the second time I went with Dave. But it was a couple weeks later.
Nobody. You were with Al, weren't you?
I was with Al. Al came over to my house, and the two of us walked over. And Al also does a radio. He does a radio show. Yeah. He does a craft beer show every Sunday night on 970 AM. And
this is his second gig. His first gig is doing a morning show with Joe Piscopo.
He does the morning show every weekday at Joe Piscopo on 970 AM. But yeah,
the beer thing's a side gig for him.
Side gig, yeah. But and he and I are sitting there. We're like, every beer we taste, we're like, and again, I'm not anybody listening. I'm not blowing smoke just because he's our guest. Al and I were sitting there
because we've never done that ever.
Never. But Al and I are sitting there like, holy shit, that kind of a thing. So
yeah, Al was telling me. I mean, John's telling me you got to get there. Yeah. Then Al starts telling me, dude, you got to get there.
You got to get there. Yeah. So here's the thing. My point is, I'm not trying to blow smoke up here. So I'm trying to let everybody know, you know what you're doing. You got really good beer. Get there. If you're coming anywhere down, or if you want to take a tour one day, I mean, Monmouth County, let's call it Monmouth County. There's upwards of 150 breweries in the state right now.
All the best ones are in
Monmouth County. Has the biggest concentration, I should say, of breweries in the state per county. Of a county.
We highly recommend
right around 20 breweries in Monmouth County right now.
Yeah, we highly recommend you get a van and tour all of them.
Yeah.
Or don't drive it.
If you're coming down, come down, get a hotel room, and an Uber. Or get a designated driver. That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, visit. Come down, go by Jeff, and go out from there. You can
start up in Carton, and just work your way all the way down. Get yourself to Bird's Mouth. Get yourself to Kane. Get yourself to Little Bird.
Little Dog.
Bird's Mouth, Little Dog.
Dog's Mouth and Little Bird. Yeah, there you go.
Dog Sorth Mouth.
That's the name of the book.
But down in the south end, get to Bakes.
Yeah, get to Bakes. Get down. See Jeff. Have some of these beers. I'm definitely going to be there on Friday having some of the Keller beer. That's 100%. What are your hours, Jeff? Are you just Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Or are you?
Yeah, right now Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday 4 to 10, Saturday 12 to 10, Sunday 12 to 6.
Nice, cool. All right, get down and see Jeff. Get down and see them at Bakes. Have some of these beers; they're fantastic. Have some of the coffee porter, and when you leave, depending on when you leave, stop at Turnstile on the way up and have some of the coffee that was in the coffee stout.
Yes.
Coffee stout, and
go right up the road, get a few dogs at the Windmill too, and
then stop at Windmill on your way back out to 35. There you go.
And people can, or you can do it. Can people stop at Windmill first, grab the dogs, come in, eat them in the brewery while they're drinking?
Why not?
Absolutely.
That's got to be. That might be the second best hot dog beer combo going. And it's not a talk about the beer. It's a talk about that Ghost Hawk is right across from Rutt's Hut.
Yes.
And that's you can't beat Rutt's Hut.
Windmill's
damn good, but Rutt's Hut.
Yeah, I mean, I'm partial to Rutt's Hut. Windmill's at the top of my list, but Rutt's Hut's number one. But that's just because I grew up about 3 miles away from Rutt's Hut. So some people might be partial to Windmill over Rutt's Hut, and that's fine. Then that's the opposite.
And you can pretty much walk to both. Windmill and
it's a little bit low. It's about a 5-minute walk from Windmill to Bakes. Maybe 6-7 minutes or whatever, but it's across the street from Rutt's Hut to Ghost Hawk.
And for me, because I live in Union City, Rutt's Hut, Ghost Hawk is a lot closer for me. So
for you, yeah. But yeah, I spend. Look, I grew up across the street. I grew up 3 miles away from
Right.
Rutt's Hut. I love Rutt's Hut. I love the relish. I love everything about Rutt's Hut. I spend more time at Windmill, and now that Jeff's open, I will be spending more time at Bakes than I do at Ghost Hawk, and that's just a proximity thing. Because
Well,
he's
yeah.
a great guy, and I worked with Chris, the head brewer, years ago. So,
and for Bakes, what it's a 5-minute walk there.
5 minute walk. I can get to 5 minutes. I can get to Jeff in 5 minutes.
As a 20-minute walk back, as we know, the difference.
It's a 35-minute crawl back, is what it is.
Well, the difference is staggering.
The difference is staggering. Yeah, absolutely. He said it. I didn't. And he said a dad joke. I'm going to say one, and I'm going to give credit to Don Tess. Okay?
Oh yes.
Posted it today. I only know about 2 or 3 Motown puns. 4 tops.
Very nice.
All right, there you go. All right. Had to be said. Sorry. Thanks, Don, for that one.
Thank you, Don. Got to get him back on the show.
You got to get it. He's got to come back on. But anyway, all right, Jeff. Anything you want to tell anybody that any releases you're coming up? Any other IPAs or lagers?
Yeah, I mean, we got IPAs and tanks. No immediate plan to can in the next week. Probably 2 weeks from now.
Fair enough.
I keep the tasting room supplied at this point, honestly, and catching up.
Well, that's always important. I mean, having beer in cans for people to go is good, but you want everybody coming in. You want to make sure that they're, you don't want to take a beer off tap because you had to can some and you have to sit in there. So,
yeah, it's much better if you make your money pouring directly off your taps, right? Then because you don't have the overhead of the cans and all of that. So he's
6-1. Obviously, I mean, if he has enough beer to get him out there, but obviously he needs to take care of that and keep that in consideration. Anything you have lager wise after the Keller beer? Anything you have coming up?
I'm gonna have to put lager in tanks again next week. Probably do a German Pils.
Nice.
Oh, like that.
Thank you for telling me that. I will make sure.
Maybe that's when I bring a bottle of Abyss down.
Text me when you crash it and let me know.
He's got a cool little name. His name is Mr. Snappy.
Mr. Snappy. Is that named after a turtle or?
No, I mean it's a flavored descriptor of a Pils, right? Snappy.
Oh,
Snappy.
I like that.
Snappy.
Rather than crispy boy,
yeah,
Snappy boy.
Christy, Snappy boy, BOI. Right? Mr. Snappy, I like that. Mr. Snappy.
Yeah,
like
that.
Another
character brand.
That's awesome.
Dad, I do have a question for you because one of the beers that I had while I was there was a Baker's Batch.
Yes.
So we've got the Base Knox, which is a single IPA. Baker's Batch is 2 hops. Is Baker's Batch a series of beers that are going to be a 2-hop concoction, or was it just that one time off?
Baker's Batches are kind of just riffs on recipes that don't have any brand name per se. It's just, hey, I feel like brewing with these hops. We have them today. Let's do this.
So it's Baker's Batch. It's whatever Baker wants to do that damn
exactly,
day.
And it's the batch number.
Because I had 14, and
in order, not the batch number of Baker's Batch, the batch number of everything globally. The batch
Correct.
number.
Correct.
I was going to say because it was like I was there the second week you were open, and you're on 14 already. So that number.
We had 7 or 8 soft openings, where I did small batches. So we got a bunch of volume went out in those 6 or 7 soft openings.
Now, what's the volume of your brew kettle?
7.
So do you have a smaller brew kettle that you do these small batches out of, or do you half brew out of the brew kettle? There you go.
There you go. That works. So that's awesome. I actually, how do you say that you had 7 or 8 small soft openings? I'm actually upset that we didn't meet prior to you opening so that I could have attended a couple of those.
And had like
and had a couple of those
4, 5, 9,
1, 2,
12.
Yeah. So awesome though. But yeah, kudos to you. That's awesome. You're doing awesome stuff down in Wall. right over here. As a matter of fact, I'm pointing pretty much directly at the brewery right now.
Yeah,
but,
there you go.
and
I got to say,
and,
John, this is warming up, and there's some coffee notes coming out of it now.
really,
The coffee notes are starting to supplant the
cola notes.
The cola notes, yeah.
Nice.
Cola note is still there at the tip of the tongue. I know it's residual from the first couple of sips, but the coffee notes are starting to take over.
Nice. All right. Well, when you do bring the one down to Jeff,
we'll have to make sure it gets to.
Make sure it warms up a little.
It gets to about 45 degrees
before we pour it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Cool. All right.
Awesome.
All right. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Absolutely.
It's been awesome. Anybody planning a trip? God, what, Dave?
I was going to say this, and John can test this. While we're sitting there in your brewery drinking, I look at John like, we're getting this guy on the show, right? Because he's doing some good stuff. Let's get this guy on the show.
My business partner Matt was there with us that day too, and that's what we went back and we talked to you afterwards, and then you met Dave outside too. But 100%. That was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
What's happening?
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. This has been fun.
We really love the fact that you came on. We're so happy about it. You're doing amazing stuff. Anybody that's listening to this, watching these live videos, rewatching the live videos, listening to the podcast. If you're anywhere around New Jersey or coming to New Jersey, or if you live in the area, get down. Seriously, I'm not blowing smoke. Get down to Bakes. Have this beer.
Get to Bakes.
You're gonna love it. Enjoy it. But anyway, like I said, thanks for coming on the show. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk to you for a couple minutes after we sign off. But we will wrap the show up for today. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thank you for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Twitch every Tuesday night around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on our audio host, Spreaker, as well as iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, Audible, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, Castbox, Deezer, Podchaser, Listen Notes. Pretty much anywhere you can find audio podcasts, you'll find the Lager Room Guys Craft Beer Podcast.
Yeah, you need to cut the list down a little bit.
I'll do what I want to do, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
I'm the one that reads it. Anyway.
You are. You don't have this one memorized.
All right, how about that? No, that list is long. Yeah.
Because the list has changed.
Yeah, no, it's added.
And
so.
This one's a long
list. How's that? How's this? You can do so on our audio host Spreaker, as well as pretty much anywhere else you can find audio podcasts. How's that? Is that good?
So Jeff, John used to be able, there was one time, and I called him out on it because he always reads the script, but one time he didn't have his script, and he still nailed the damn thing. He had it memorized.
We've added about 6 or 7.
I said that script that you read off of is a crutch. You know this, but now it's going to take a while for him to memorize this.
It'll be a little bit longer, yeah. I mean, we're approaching 4 years doing the show, so anyway, or pretty much anywhere you can find audio podcasts, you'll find the Lager Room Guys Craft Beer Podcast. Anyway,
you said that.
I know, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of the feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Sit tight. We'll talk to you in a second. Drink a lot of beer, guys, but drink responsibly, and we will talk to you soon, folks.
Unless you're at home.
Then have at it.
Go wild.
We'll talk to you soon, folks. Take care.
Cheers.